Hi everybody, I'm back again and my name is Rachel Lord and I've been doing a series for you all on clinical herbalism. And today I'd like to take you through quickly part one of the steps to make a weight to volume tincture. A tincture is a liquid extraction of active ingredients in an herb, and there's many ways to do tinctures, but what I'm going to use is alcohol and water to take out the active ingredients. So what I use for this is I use alcohol, and what I have is ethyl alcohol. There's two kinds of alcohol. There's ethyl alcohol and there is isopropyl. You've probably heard of isopropyl. That's rubbing alcohol. And that's okay for external use, but it's very poisonous if you try to drink it. So we are using what's called, it's a medicinal strength 100% ethyl alcohol, which is ingestible alcohol. The closest equivalent you can get to this in a liquor store is if you buy Everclear, because that's usually about 95% alcohol. And the rest of alcohol is water. And plants already have water in them. So you need to get as high an alcohol content as possible. And so what I use is this. This is from a grain company. This is a 5-gallon container. It's huge, isn't it? And so that's what I'm going to use. So what I'm going to do is a 1 to 5. 1 to 5, that's a proportion. 50% solution. And so 1 part of it is herb and 5 parts of it is water and alcohol in some kind of combination. And my combination is going to be 50% of the liquid to 1 part herb. So in order to do this, you have to weigh it out first. And I've done the calculations ahead of time. So here's what I'm going to use. I'm going back to my Poria Fu Ling, which is a favorite herb of mine, which is a Chinese herb. It's actually a fungus that grows on trees in China, and it helps to drain damp. It's like a diuretic. It pulls water off. So it's very useful for a lot of situations where there's too much water on board in something. Urinary tract infections need this. Lots of situations where you'd use Poria. And this isn't how it looks. It's just made into chunks. That's how the herb company did it. So what I'm going to do is open my bag. I'm going to weigh out, and I'm going to start. What I usually do is start with about 8 ounces of herb. So here's my little scale that I showed you in a previous video, and I'm going to put my container on here. And the first thing I have to do is called zero the scale, because you can see that this already weighs 6 ounces. And that's no good. We want just the weight of the herb. So I'm going to pull this back to 0. That's called zero the scale. So I'm starting as if this doesn't weigh anything at all. And I'm going to pour in 8 ounces. About 8 ounces here, a little too much. Take out a few chunks. It's pretty close. And so there we have 8 ounces of Poria in this container. And now the next step is to grind it. So I showed you my grinder, my Vitamix, before. Pull it out so you can see it. Y'all see that? And I'll take my poria. And I'm going to put it in my mixer. I'm going to grind it. Go. It's going to be very, very loud. Okay, here we go. Vitamix can go in both directions. You can get the blades going clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on whether you move this little lever up or down. So I'm going to take a peek in here and see how we're doing. It's almost ground, a little more. When you take the top off, you might see dust coming out, and this is in a professional apothecary. You would be in a dedicated room for this that had ventilation that could pull out some of this dust, because this can settle all over. And I'm pretty good here. I'm going to show you what happened to this. You see that's got a pretty good powder going. Yeah. Okay, so that's my fooling ground up. Move my scale, move my grinder, and I'm going to go ahead. That's and put it in. This is a half-gallon container, 500 milliliters, and it should be enough to hold the 8 ounces when I end up with my 1 to 5, 50% alcohol to water solution. So that's 1 part herb, 5 parts liquid. Put it in here. My poria, my dried herb. And the next step in this is to measure out the alcohol and water, and I will do that on the next video, so you'll get all the steps. Thank you very much. See you soon.